Everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. So, almost every Friday we get together and we look at the top 5 something probably to do with Blood Bowl. And this week, as we've got the Death Zone and the Sevens pitch coming out from Games Workshop on this Saturday, which should be tomorrow as this video goes live, I thought it made sense to go through my top 5 Sevens teams. Now, you should have seen the post on our social media channels where we've asked you to let us know what your top 5 7 teams are. And what we're going to do is going to go through my top 5 and then we'll compare with your list at the end and we'll see just how wrong I am. Number 5, I've got Chaos Chosen. So, before anyone says, what? Go and watch Series 1 of 7 Super Series. Chaos Chosen were fantastic. And they've got better in Blood Bowl 2020. So the great thing about the new 7's rules is it's not much different from the old 7 rules. So I'm a huge fan of that. Which means you've got 0 to 4 positionals. Chaos Chosen have got some great positionals, and the bonus they got in this edition is that they can now take an ogre instead of a minotaur. So if you want to have a little bit more reliability versus the minotaur, you can do that now with an ogre and save a little tiny bit of cash. But when it comes to Chaos Chosen, this team has got a ton of bash. Alright, let's say they take a big guy, which means they can take probably 2 Chaos Warriors as well. That's Strength 5 and 2 Strength 4. Fantastic. Or you can go the other route and take 4 Chaos Warriors and some Beastmen. That's 4 Strength 4 players. Beastmen are amazing. Okay? Movement 6, Armor 9+, Edge 3+, Strength 3, Strength 4 on the Blitz. They've got horns. This entire team can be Strength 4 if it's blitzing. It's fantastic. And you know what they give up for it? Nothing. Because Agility 3+ is everywhere and it is fantastic. Yes, alright, the Chaos Warriors are movement 5, so that's a little bit on the slow side, but it doesn't matter when you're that strong and quite frankly that agile. It's not perfect by any means, but you will be blocking well for the majority of the game. You've got a really good skill access across the entire board. Everyone's got general basically, and you do get a choice of big guys, which means you get a massive variety of a team build for you. I think, if I remember, you may even be able to take a Troll and 3 Chaos Warriors if you want to go heavy on the strength. I recommend the Blitzer / Ogre and 2 Chaos Warrior build. I think it's just fantastic. Beastmen are great. Your stretch play is going to be limited, but still really effective. So for me, the reason they are in the top 5 is because they are always brawling. The Beastmen have got movement. They've got plenty of movement. All right. Yes, it's a 3-turn touchdown team because of movement 6. And you've got no movement 7, but it's only one go for it away. You are plenty fast enough, and you will always be blitzing with strength 4 or more. And when you've got less players in 7s, the chance of people being ganged up on is less. So even if you do get tag teamed on as a ball carrier, you can probably bring up 1 support of your own and blitz out with 2 dice. Blitz free, you're good to go. It's really hard to stop a Chaos Chosen drive in 7s, and it feels pretty good defending with Chaos in 7s, because wherever you've got a person against somebody else, you can get a 2-die block basically on the next game. So I love Chaos Chosen in 7s. They are underrated in 7s. Keep an eye out for them because they will smash your face in. My number 4 is the Dark Elf team. So yes, I know Dark Elves are not the fastest, and yes, I know they got stitched up a little bit in Blood Bowl 2020, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because when it comes to 7s, and I know this is going to absolutely upset one of our local players, Milton, who has played Dark Elves multiple times in 7s and never managed to make them work. I love them in 7s. They are so versatile. Alright, you've got a couple of different builds to take. I think you have got the 3 Blitzer 1 Runner build is one I'm really big fan of. You end up with everybody was Edge 2+. Everybody, okay, let's ignore the runner for now, but the entire team is basically armor 9+. So you've got resilience with your armor, you've got speed, everyone's movement 6 or movement 7, okay? With 4 positionals, half your team is going to be movement 7, edge 2+. That's really agile. And because they've got that higher armor, your attrition losses are going to be significantly less. You're probably going to lose 1 player a game. That is fine when at least 3 of the remaining players are probably going to be the ones with block or dodge or frenzy. Like, this team just brings a ton of power to the game, and it is actually quite safe as well. It's less explosive than a lot of teams, movement 7 being the fastest you can do, and it is expensive, but the players are individually powerful, and it doesn't take very many skill ups to make the team unnecessarily good. Okay, let's think about it. We'll say that you're running the 3 blitzer 1 runner build. You get 2 skills, maybe 3 skills. If you can take leader in your environment, leader gets you that reroll. A couple of dodges on the other guys, and then you've got a couple of movement 7, strength 3, and 2 plus blodgers probably. If you take a witch elf, 1 block gets you another frenzy blodger. You have to play tight with dark elves, but they are incredibly forgiving if not. You only need a couple of dark elves to do a stretch play. Yes, I know the passing game got nerfed, but the passing game essentially got nerfed for everybody, which means it's a fair field, and in a fair field I would be very up for taking dark elves, especially when that field is this big and has 7 players on it. My number 3 is Underworld. So I am proper excited about Underworld in this edition. Super excited. They got all kinds of cool stuff, including snotlings. So we'll come to the main crux of the team in a second. Snotlings in 7s are interesting because they do take up a positional slot. Okay, so that is a bit of a pain. But because they've got swarming, you can basically start your game, start your drive with 8 or 9 players, which is a massive, massive bonus in 7s. And we've seen this in some of the tournament results already from Underworld. They get access to a ton of creative stuff. Underworld have probably more variety than most other teams. Let's talk about what they've got access to. They've got Skaven. They've got 1 gutter runner. They've got 1 Skaven blitzer, and they've got 1 Skaven thrower. These are some of the best positionals in the game. They are just awesome. The blitzer is great. Movement 7 block, fantastic. The gutter runner is phenomenal. Movement 9 adds 2 plus dodge already. The thrower, one of the best throwers in the game, you know it. Passing 2 plus, movement 7, edge 3 plus, sure hands, passing 2 plus, and pass. Absolute god on the pitch. The downside of Underworld is you only get 4 positionals, so you can go heavy Skaven, have a gutter, have a blitzer, have a thrower, have a rat ogre, and just play Skaven supported by arguably better linemen. Skaven linemen are great. Movement 7 is fantastic. They are resilient. But the goblins give you a great bit of flexibility. They are more likely to explode, kind of, with lower strength, so you're more likely to lose the attrition game. But the fact that this team gets a ton of cool mutations, has those snotlings, has a rat ogre if you want it, and just has that flexibility. You're going to have an element of swarming backed up with the high end of edge. The downside of Underworld, although I do think they have a higher upside than the other 2 teams, they're more spiky. Okay, if it performs well, you're just like, what the heck is this? If they get murdered first, and they can get murdered real easy, let's say you take gutter, blitzer, thrower, snotling, and a bunch of goblins. You're going to deploy 8 for 1 turn, which is going to be great. You're going to have that number. You're going to score. It's going to be really hard to stop you from scoring. But you're going to lose the snotling. You're going to lose another dude, and you are going to be down on numbers. So I love Underworld in 7s. They have got such an incredible upside, but they have got they're just begging to be kicked in. So that's why they're held at number 3. I think Underworld versus... This top 5 is real close. Okay, Underworld versus Chaos, Underworld versus Dark Elves, Dark Elves versus Chaos. It can go any way, and that's the awesome thing about 7s. There's so many rosters, so many teams, and it can go any way. But I think Underworld, because they've got access to swarming and they've got access to, quite frankly, some of the best players in the game, have got an upside that I think gives them the edge on my number 4 and 5. I had to do it, I'm sorry, but Skaven are just fantastic in 7s, and you've got flexibility. So Underworld and Skaven are almost neck and neck. Hear me out. It's that Skaven lineman versus Underworld Goblin, okay? Underworld Goblin's slightly slower, but it starts with dodge, and it can run around as it's got stunty. The lineman is stronger, and it's a little bit faster, but we've got the same armor, different strength. So I think the edge has to go to the line rat, and the rest of the team is just phenomenal. You can have the Rat Ogre. You can have 4 Gutter Runners. That's going to be all your team. You can do so much with the Skaven roster. Blitzers are fantastic. The Throwers are amazing. Gutter Runners are fantastic. The Skaven team is so explosive, but it is sneaky combat effective. Okay, you're going to end up with a couple of rosters that are going to be Line Rats, Rat Ogre, Thrower, and 2 Blitzers. That team is going to brawl. It will lose players. Skaven are standing to lose 2 to 3 players per game in Sevens. That's just how it runs. So the last quarter of the match, you're going to be playing with 4 or 5 players on the pitch. It's going to be tough, but nothing can stop you. You've got gutters, you've got movement. The great thing about Skaven is that even the linemen are 2-turn touchdown plays. Okay, they're movement 14 over 2 turns. There's no go for it. So all you got to do is punch a suitable path, and you will be there in 2 turns. And you've got the gutters, and gutters are just fantastic. Ideal roster for me with Skaven, you've got the Thrower, maybe Thrower, 2 Blitzers and a Gutter is probably the best way to do it. You can use those Blitzers to counter your opponent, and that's what gives them a slight edge for me over Underworld, is that the Skaven defensive game is better than Underworld's. I think the offensive game is actually a little bit worse because you've got the opportunity for stunty dodges and cheeky 2-heads and stuff like that. But in the Skaven team, you've got a Gutter Run, you've got the Thrower, you've got some Blitzers, you've got a solid team. Honestly, just taking a team of Skaven linemen in Sevens is going to give you such a strong offensive potential. But you don't just have to take linemen. You can take that Thrower. That Thrower and a Gutter combo is going to do anything, and those 2 Blitzers are awesome. So yes, I know I am unabashedly a Skaven apologist, but man, they are good in Sevens. But they are beatable. All you have to do is murder a few of their players, and they are going to fold like a house of cards, and that is very satisfying as a player that isn't a Skaven. But my number 1 team for Sevens is the human roster. Again, Season 1 of 7 Super Series, we saw humans, 2 Blitzers, a Thrower, an Ogre, and some dudes. And they brawled well. The whole team was fantastic, and this team got boosted in 2020. Slight cost decreases. The boost to the Thrower means that the team on general is stronger. You've still got that Ogre, but for me, the beautiful thing is you've got the flexibility to run whatever kind of roster you want. You've got halflings in there. You can do some really cool stuff. But overall, if you look at the human roster and compare it to others, the flexibility is key. It is weaker than Chaos, but it's way more agile and fast and can do better stuff. And you can still take an Ogre. You know, it's more resilient than Skaven. It's a bit slower, but you've got the potential there. You've still got those great Blitzers. You've got that passer. But your standard guys have got better armor. They're going to be sticking around. And you can take the Ogre, who is quite frankly the most reliable big guy in the game. Humans, and I think this sums up in Sevens, any team has a chance against any team. There are no gimmies. If you've seen 7 Super Series, you will know this. Halflings smashed face and did really well. I didn't play humans as well as I should have in Sevens because I was too interested in being exciting and fun. I think humans should have got away with it. I think they should have done better in our 7 series than they did because the team is potent and it's really good. And it is as forgiving as the Dark Elf team, basically. You don't have the edge side, but you've got more players. You've got a bit more movement. You've got a bit more survivability. Dark Elves are better than humans when it comes to edge, but humans have got that brawl element. And it's so flexible. It's a weird one because they're weaker than Chaos. They're less agile than Dark Elves. And they've got less speed than the Skaven or the Underworld teams. But the sum is greater than the parts here. Humans are just so solid. They have an edge in every matchup, even though it feels like they don't. But the reason for that is because they are good at everything. They are good to very good on every axis. Brawling, good. Dash, good. Throwing, good. Running, great. Like, this team is really solid. And in Sevens, that's what you need. And for me, the fact they've got all those integral rerolls, you've got dodge in the catches, you've got block in the blitzers, you know, you've got pass, sure hands on the thrower. You've just got a bunch of integral rerolls, and the cost is so low on the team. You can normally sneak in a reroll as well. And that's what gives human the advantage. It's because they are the jack of all trades and slight master of none, means that they just get the edge for me. So I know it's a really tough top 5, and I know you're going to disagree with me, and I cannot wait to see the results because I didn't put Elven Union on here. They're close. I didn't put Necro on here. They're really close as well. Necro took a bit of a hit, I think, with the Wraiths not having arms, which is a bit difficult, which means your agility across the whole team can be a little bit less. Whereas humans, Skaven, Underworld, Dark Elves, Chaos, everybody's Edge 3+ or 2+. Like, they just get better angles. But they're all potent. There's probably about top 15 teams in 7s that you can put in a mix, and anyone can win any game on any given match. And the great thing about that is because it's 7s, you can get 3 games in an evening. So, I don't know. I think humans are 2-1 against every one of these guys. But they can lose any game. They can win every game. I think they end up with like a 55% win rate, which isn't much of an edge, but it is an edge. And I think they've just got the ability to flex and combat the opponent no matter how they need to do it. They're playing against a dash team, they can cripple you. You're playing against a bash team, they can outrun you. So I think for me, top 5-7 teams, my top 1 is the mid-range king, the human roster. Okay, so the results are in. So let's have a look at your guys' suggestions for the top 5-7s team, and we'll find out just how wrong I was or was not. So let's reveal number 5. Number 5, you guys have got Lizardmen. So I missed Lizardmen off my top 5, but they were definitely in the top 10, like easy top 10. That big bash with the Crocs and the up to 4 Saurus blockers, backed up by the insane movement of the Skinks, makes them really, really good in 7s. The downside of Lizardmen, and why they kind of got edged out, is because that agility is so low on their blockers. And if you take a Croxagore, it's exactly the same. So you can end up with a Lizardman team where there's only 3 players that can realistically actually handle the ball. And being left with a couple of Sauruses around the ball is going to be great for stopping your opponent getting it. Going to be a little bit less useful if you yourself are trying to get the ball and score. That said, Lizardmen are a very competitive team, and they are not going to lose very many matches, but they missed my top 5 but hit your top 5. So let's have a look at your number 4. Dark Elves. Fantastic. I had Dark Elves in my top 5. They're great. They're great in 7s. They're really flexible. They've got enough armor to be resilient, they've got enough block and dodge to be useful, and that Edge 2+ just makes them fantastic. They are pricey, and if you lose players, you're going to be down, but if you lose 2, you've still got 5 Edge 2+ movement, 6, 7 players. So Dark Elves are just a really solid team. And your number 4. Okay, your number 3, Underworld. Fantastic. This is actually the listener's one. This is not mine. It's very similar in that regard. So Underworld, I've talked about them at length. I love them. They are really creative in 7s, and the positionals have stayed the same as in 7s now. So you can take that Snotling and have an additional positional. It just allows you to be a bit more creative with what's going on your team. And the fail case of having the Thrower, the Blitzer, a Rat Ogre, and a Gutter Runner paired in with those mutated goblins is a pretty powerful combination. Oh, I've spoiled the whole list now by clicking on the wrong one. Anyway, number 2 for you guys is humans, and number 1 is Skaven. So I wasn't far off there. You guys choosing Skaven number 1, it makes a lot of sense. They are really fast, really agile, and in 7s you can make the most of that. I gave the edge to humans because humans versus Skaven is always a tough matchup. If the Skaven roll hot, they win. If they don't roll hot, the humans tend to block them out. So actually having those top 2 is brilliant, and I'm pretty pleased with how close this roster was. I know there's a bunch of you out there who are going to be, where are the Amazons? The Amazons were real close, and when it came to your list, they were 6th. So you guys had Amazon 6, Elven Union 7, then Black Orcs, Chaos, and Necromantic, with Chaos Renegades bringing up the 11th spot. Really cool to see. Thank you to everybody who took part. I absolutely love seeing your submissions for this, because it's just useful, and I get to build a spreadsheet, and you know me, guys. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this week. Thank you ever so much for watching, and we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.